In 1945, World War II came to an abrupt end when 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, killing hundreds of thousands of people. The atomic bomb remains to be one of the most devastating war weapons in history, with radiation poisoning still affecting people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki today. In hindsight, the debate still goes on as to whether or not the end justified the means. In hindsight, it is easy to look back on the bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima and make an opinion as to whether or not they were justified. However, for the people living in 1945, the war had basically ruined their lives. Over 50 million had died, and many felt that a quick end was necessary. The rations were crippling living standards, and people found it very difficult to picture another 6 years of war. Towards the end of the war, there were many anti-Japanese feelings in the United States. This is because the Japanese had a very strong fighting force. They would die before they surrendered. Even families committed suicide together before surrendering to the Americans as they took the island of Saipan in the summer of 1944. The Japanese believed so much in their cause that they would stop at nothing to win the war. Before the country officially declared war on America, they shocked the world by bombing Pearl Harbor. This created a huge amount of anti-Japanese feeling in America, which was fueled by the constant news of war crimes in the Pacific. American citizens were filled with horror and hatred towards the Japanese when they heard of the thousands of Allied prisoners dying due to starvation, brutal treatment, and disease, as well as those being killed in the Bataan Death March. By 1944, Japanese Americans were being put in camps in the Midwest, and an opinion poll revealed that almost half of the American soldiers believed that all Japanese would need to be killed for there to be peace. In 1939, physicists discovered that it was possible to create an atomic bomb. Although physicists in many countries knew of this theory, they did not know if it was worth building the weapon, since it would take an infinite amount of time and resources. Only the United States felt that it was important to back such a substantial project. Albert Einstein signed a letter which was sent to President Roosevelt, convincing him that the making of an atomic bomb before Germany or Japan was vitally important. The creation of the atomic bomb was low priority at first. However, in 1941, the Manhattan Project was born to help develop the new bomb. Brigadier General Leslie R. Groves was in charge of the Manhattan Project, a group of the world's top nuclear scientists, all charged with the task of developing the most powerful bomb ever made. The Manhattan Project had a base in Los Alamos, New Mexico, which housed 6,000 people, all working to develop the bomb. This base was completely secret, the security was tight, and it was referred to in code as Project Y whenever it was spoken about on a governmental level. Making the bomb was a huge task, and it required a huge amount of economical backing. Because of this, Japan and Germany never came close to creating the bomb, whereas President Roosevelt secretly spent $2 billion on the Manhattan Project without the knowledge of Congress or the American public. Factories sprung up all around the country, making materials for the bomb, and eventually, a total of 200,000 people were working to make it. By 1945, the new president, President Truman, was having discussions with various teams about where the bomb should be dropped. Hiroshima was chosen to show the full extent of the destruction that the bomb could cause. At the last moment, Nagasaki was also chosen because of the factories it harbored. By the time the bomb was finally built, scientists still didn't actually know for certain whether or not it would work. Because of this, they made 2 different bombs. The first used uranium and was called Little Boy. The second, a much more powerful bomb, used plutonium and was called Fat Man. The decision to drop the bomb on Japan was made after a successful test drop of a Little Boy bomb on the New Mexico desert on July 16, 1945. The United States decided to drop this bomb on Hiroshima for many political reasons, and believed that, in the end, they were saving lives. The American leaders had the view that an invasion on Japan would cause the deaths of 500,000 American soldiers, but that the atomic bomb would kill far fewer Japanese. For this reason, the first bomb was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945 at 8:15 a.m. by Colonel Paul W. Tibbets and his crew on a plane called the Enola Gay. Only Colonel Tibbets knew that they were about to drop an atomic bomb over Hiroshima. The rest of the crew only knew that it was a new type of bomb. About an hour before the bomb was dropped, Tibbets revealed the true magnitude of the mission to the crew, and their reactions when the bomb was dropped were recorded in history. The crew was not fazed, and when the bomb was dropped, Lieutenant Jacob Besser described it as pretty terrific. Meanwhile, on the ground in Hiroshima, people near the center of the explosion were vaporized. All that was left of them was a shadow of radioactive waste. People further away from the center of the blast were burned so badly that their skins simply peeled and flaked away. Buildings were burnt to a crisp, and trams and trains flew through the air along with people in the firestorms caused by the wind. It is difficult to say for sure how many people died in Hiroshima on that day. Many historians disagree, some claiming it to be 80,000, others estimating at 135,000. Japan had hardly had time to realize what had destroyed Hiroshima before, just 3 days later, another B-29 plane flew over the country, carrying an atomic bomb dubbed Fat Man. This plane's original target was the city of Kokura, but, due to bad weather conditions which prevented the dropping of the bomb, the crew moved on to their second choice of target, Nagasaki. Because of thick cloud coverage, the bomb landed 1.5 miles away from its aim point at 11:02 a.m. The hills in Nagasaki slightly lessened the damage of the bomb, sheltering much of the city. There were no firestorms like in Hiroshima. Because of these hills, an estimate of about 40,000 people died. Although the death toll was half of what it was in Hiroshima, the combination of this second bomb and the Soviet Union declaring war on Japan on the exact same day, Japanese morale was officially shattered. The day after the bomb was dropped over Nagasaki, Japan surrendered, agreeing to all of the Allies' demands, so long as Emperor Hirohito stayed on the throne. It is very easy to look back at the dropping of the atomic bombs in hindsight and make an opinion as to whether or not it was necessary, which is why many historians still debate the matter. Some argue that Japan would have surrendered anyway, while others claim that the atomic bomb was a quick end to the war, and therefore saved lives on the front line. In the end, the atomic bomb was dropped, whether or not everyone agrees that it should have been. It remains an important historical lesson for all of us today.